Today, we're talking about how to get started in government contracting with little or no money. And I'm going to, in this video, keep it real with you, be transparent with you, and let you know what that really looks like, what you can do, what you can't do, what's going to work, what's not going to work. That way, you don't have to spend time and perhaps money to figure these things out on your own. So if you stick around, you will be able to have a realistic view of what that's going to look like. I don't think I can address this without just touching on some of the basics, which is you have to file a business first. So LLC, S Corp, if you're going to be sole proprietor, that's fine. But if you're going to register in whatever state you're in, there's going to be state filing fees. Might cost under $100, might cost a couple $100 to do that, right? So immediately, you're not going to do this whole thing for free, but that's going to probably be one of your bigger expenses getting started out with. So make sure that you're good for a couple $100 to actually register your business with your state. Once you do that, you get your TIN, your tax ID number. You do that for free. It doesn't take very long to do that. You're also going to have to set up a business bank account. Business bank accounts very often want you to deposit, maybe $500 or something like that. Otherwise, there may be some sort of monthly fee for that account. So this is also something to consider when you're thinking about doing this for little to no money, right? Just getting some of these basics out of the way. You do not need a paid government contracting software to do this. You can use something like sam.gov. You can also get plugged into your local Apex, and that will be totally free. So you'll be able to look at opportunities to go after for free. You are going to want something like, you're going to need the Microsoft Suite. So you're going to want like Excel, Word. If you want to use the Google equivalents or whatever equivalent you use, that's fine. But you're going to need some basic writing and perhaps data software. That could cost you a little bit of money. You may already have that though, so that may already be like a sunk cost. Okay, you've already incurred that expense. Very often, you will be using your home office to get started with. So you're not renting a space. You are not getting an office. You're not doing a telework, virtual office type situation. You're using your home address, and that is okay to do. And then you can even write off whatever room you're working out of, the square footage on your taxes to do business as a business write-off on top of that. Okay, so there's a tiny little bit of a win. Aside from that, we're not paying a proposal writer. Okay, you're going to write proposals yourself. You're going to do this DIY. So that's why it's important to have those basic tools that I mentioned. Also, you are going to need some sort of PDF editor. This way you can fill out complete government forms and also sign them. So think of like an SF 1449 form, reps inserts, cover letter for your proposal, things like that. I recommend Small PDF if you don't use something already, smallpdf.com. It's a bit cheaper and very intuitive to use, and it has a lot of options for merging, organizing. So you've got several documents you have to make one. Adjusting your table of contents, all that sort of stuff. Small PDF, but whatever PDF editor you want to use, all good, okay? This is going to kind of get you started with little to no money. Home office, free to little bit of software. Use sam.gov, plug into your Apex, these sorts of things. Get your business bank account though, make sure you're registered Cage Code. Those are really the bare bones. It's hard to cut those costs out. You kind of have to do that. For example, you can't register in sam.gov and get a Cage Code for a business entity if you don't have a legal business entity with your state first. So you're not going to be able to get around those filing fees and these other things that I mentioned. So $500 to $1,000 perhaps, depending on if that bank account is requiring you to put away $500 or something like that for a deposit. I think it's fair. I think it's a fair shot. Now, it's important to understand this is just getting you started. And if you're on a shoestring budget, you're working a job, you plan to do this, nights and weekends, early mornings, that's fine. If you want to grind, you want to hustle, if that's the approach that you're going to do with this, it's okay. But you have to be smart about it because you don't have a lot of time. You don't have any resources to waste. So for example, when you're bidding on contracts, you need to make sure you're covering all of your expenses. You don't want to underbid contracts. For example, cost of money. Okay. If you're doing it this way, you're not going to be privately funding these jobs, right? You're not going to be able to float because you don't have capital. And honestly, I really do. I recommend, 3 to 6 months of float if you can, in relation to the dollar value of the contract that you're going after. That way you have 3 to 6 months worth of invoices covered in capital, because things can be slow. The government can be slow at times. And I know that's not really realistic for you watching this video, but I'm just, I have to be a good steward and tell you what I think is going to be best, right? That means that you wait a little bit and save a little bit more money. Yes, I'm definitely a proponent for that. I'm not a proponent to rushing into this, not a proponent of quitting your job, not a proponent of trying to do this with little to no money. And if you're not making your car payment or your house payment and you're looking for government contracting to be that thing, I do not recommend doing government contracting right now. I recommend getting your house in order, literally and financially speaking, so that you're not coming with this kind of needy, anxious energy and having quick, get rich quick expectations of federal government contracting, because you could get lucky, but luck is no way to build a business. Okay. So I told you, I'm also going to kind of shoot you straight in this video, and I'd rather do what's right by you first, even if that means taking 3 to 6 months to get your house in order before rushing into an opportunity like federal government contracting. So you do need to make sure that you cover your expenses. Since you're not private funding, you need to account for at least 3 to 5% cost of money in those contracts to pay a lender. Okay? If you're going to be doing any traveling, you're going to have to account for those costs once the contract goes into place. And I do recommend at least visiting, if you're teaming, at least going once, shake hands with the core, everybody that you can, honestly, in person. And if it's like more than 1 year contract, try to do it at least once a year. But make sure you're pricing for that travel if it's on the other side of the country or something like that. If at some point you're going to need an accountant, right? Because now you have income through the business is going to be filing its own tax returns. You're not going to be comfortable doing that. If that's the case, you may want to include some money to cover your accounting fees, right? And you can look up online, even a couple $100 a month, say, and then the actual filing of your tax return, business and personal, at the end of the year. These are things that you could try to account for, right? But you don't want to put all of your expenses onto one contract. I mean, we don't have any contracts, like you kind of have to, but if you can plan to, say, win a few contracts a year, you can divvy those expenses out, say by a third or something like that per contract. That way the contract itself, you still need to be price competitive. You can't just overly bloat because you're trying to cover all these non-direct expenses, right? They're expenses, but they're expenses that affect other areas of the business too, right? So we're talking more about overhead G&A type stuff, particularly G&A, right? So then you get a little bit into cost allocation, but that's not what this video is about. So just think about what your future expenses could be and make sure that you are intelligently planning for those, because getting started with little to no money is one thing, but actually running a government contracting business. And when you get that first government contract, are you going to be able to fund it? Are you going to be able to travel? Are you going to be able to manage it, have the time? And then if you're waist deep managing that contract, how are you going to go after the next contract? How are you going to keep your pipeline and your funnel going, continually pursuing opportunities? Because very often that's what happens. Because, okay, we have to stop going after new opportunities because now we've got to make sure we do a good job on the ones that we have. And that's true, and that's great. But ideally, you don't have to stop going after new work. That's how you begin to grow a bit of a team, right? Because you have new demands, new things that you need. So these are all like future expenses. And I'm trying to kind of give you a lay of the land so that you know what to plan for, even though right now you may just be looking to get started with little to no money. Perhaps you're considering using a spouse, a business partner. I've talked about this in another video. As you grow, that's fine. But try to have, it's good, and you will continue to be on the fast track if you anticipate to the best of your ability these potential upcoming bottlenecks and challenges that I'm sharing with you now, so that when they do come, you've at least thought it through, and you maybe have a point person or something in mind where you don't have to start thinking about it for the first time, where it's going to delay you a little bit like a bottleneck and become a bottleneck. So with that being said, I also want to touch on why. Why do we want to start government contracting with little to no money? And because I would share with you, because I speak with so many of you, that some of you are better off not. It's better off, like I said, wait, because your situation is too tight, it's too dire. Like you're going to lose your car, you're going to lose your house if you don't pay your rent, right? Others, you're in a better position to do this, right? But I want to speak to why. Government contracting is an opportunity where you can make money, and you can make a lot of money. Yes, it's true. Of course, it's not get rich quick. It's certainly not. It's definitely more of a get rich slow type approach, which honestly, anybody who totes, hey, you need to get rich quick, they didn't get rich quick. And if they did get rich quick, they're not going to hold on to that money, right? They were 20 to 30 years in the making, and then they got rich quick. It just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. It does not happen that way. And it's certainly not sustainable. So how much money do you actually need? Let's not be ethereal here. What do you need to live on? What would replace your full-time income? Can you get by with 30, 40K a year? Would that be wow, this would be a great milestone for me if I can just profit 50 grand a year from this? Because I'm maybe not making a huge amount of money my first year, but I'm my own boss. I get to work from home. I get to save my energy. I get to have more of a balanced lifestyle. I can take the weekends if I need to, or I don't have to miss important family milestones or things on your schedule, right? And you get to, pay your expenses and have a little bit left over. Yeah, that's a pretty good first place to strive for. If you're someone who's looking to get started with government contracting with little to no money. So let's not set grand expectations our first year, even our second year. Let's not do that. Let's focus on things that are truly more important, higher priorities that are more important than the money itself, which is your livelihood, your lifestyle, how you feel about what you're doing. Is it something you can see yourself doing in a couple of years, or are you going to burn out and then this is going to go nowhere? It's really years 3, 4, or 5 where things can really start to take off for you. The first couple of years, just like any small business, They are a grind. There's a lot of uncertainty. You're not supposed to like be hanging your hat and all your weight on this business in under 24 months. Typically not the case. And some have, and some get lucky. And I tell you, getting lucky is actually a curse. It's a curse because it changes your perspective to think that this is the way it should be. And I've seen people with this curse and it messes them up for the next year or two because they're like, well, I did this and I got this result and now I'm doing this and I'm not getting that same result. Well, it's because you got lucky, right? You actually have to work harder than that, So you don't typically want to get lucky. And as I said earlier, it's not really any way to build a business. So this is the conversation that's important to have with yourself, with your partner, maybe just with yourself. And if you're just dreaming right now, being a dreamer, or you're just a dabbler and you're doing a little bit, but you're afraid, at some point you're going to have to push through that, man. You can't let the paralysis analysis win. Like at some point, if you have this stuff done, like maybe you got your KH code, you're done, you got the business bank account, you're done, no problem. I got Microsoft Word, I can write proposals, I got a PDF, I got Adobe, done. Okay, you said like 3 to 5% for cost of money, cool, done. I'll add that to my price. At some point, you have to get to work. And I know half of you watching this need to hear that, and the other half of you are saying, Derek, I am getting to work, but I'm not winning. And there's another little chunk that's like, hey, Derek, I'm winning, but I want to win more and I want to win bigger. It's really what happens, right? You go from not winning to winning. And then when you're winning, you're not winning enough. And then when you do start winning a little bit more, you want to win bigger. That's okay, guys. Like the problems don't go away. The problems just get, better. The person who hasn't won a contract would love to be saying, I'm winning contracts, but I want to win more. And the person who's winning more would love to be saying their problem is, I wish, I need to be winning bigger contracts. I need $1 million contract. I need a $750K contract to be worth it, New levels, new devils. Doesn't go away. You just have to get better. And that's usually the sequence and the order that they show up in. Hopefully, honestly, because I don't want you to get lucky and, get some big contract that you're not prepared for. It's going to totally, kind of mess you up. I don't want that for you. So for those of you who haven't won yet, the answer for you is to get to work. You have to click send, okay? You have to start clicking send. For those of you who are bidding and you're not winning, the answer for you is to calibrate. You need to calibrate. So are you doing products or services? Products is just a lot more work for a lot lower payoff. You might need to calibrate there. Maybe you're teaming and you're not negotiating your teaming partners down. So they're losing you the bid every single time because they hear government contracting and they think deep pockets. You need to calibrate. Maybe you're not getting enough feedback on your offers. So you're not improving them in the way that you need to in order to win. So you need to calibrate. Maybe you're not going after the right type of opportunities because you've been doing certain niches, perhaps as part of your umbrella, but those aren't working. Okay, well, try something else. You need to calibrate. If it's been 3 to 6 months and it doesn't seem to be working, you need to calibrate. So you need to look at the feedback that you've been getting and assess what's working and what's not working. And then I give you the permission, I give you the freedom to slide off of the table what's not working and try some new stuff. Okay, calibrate. But make sure that you're actually doing it. This isn't you won 3. Okay? This isn't that you've responded to 3. Okay. If you've responded to 15 to 20 and you haven't won, and I'm talking about supplies, I'm talking about services, not supplies. Forgive me. Services. 15 to 20 haven't won, you're in group 2. Answer is calibrate. If you're below that, you're still in group 1. You haven't even made it to group 2 yet because you've done a few. Maybe you did 10. 10 to 20, you're in the money. You're just getting started if you're at 10. Okay, that's the solution for you. And then for my friends who have won contracts and you have won some contracts and you want to win bigger contracts, you do. You have to get over that fear of going after the little ones and start going after going the larger contracts. So the fear of going after the large contracts, stop clinging to the little ones. There's very little difference between managing a $500,000 contract and $1 million contract. There's very little difference between managing a $50,000 contract and a $250,000 contract. Okay, and $1 million to the government is very, 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 very small in terms of scope being performed. I mean, you can meet $1 million just by staffing, half a dozen people, especially if you have some option years on there. $1 million contract, boom, right there. So for those of you who need to win bigger, the solution for you is your mindset. It's now your own limiting beliefs. It's your own limited mindset. We need to kind of bust through that. And you need to start acting like a bigger contractor and doing things like bigger contractors do so that you can become one. And that doesn't mean be reckless. After all, you've won a few, maybe more than a few. But this means going back to the drawing board and looking at your systems of like, okay, we're not going after anything under 500K. That shifts everything. If all of a sudden anything under 500 is off the table, that's going to change all your processes immediately. So these are all things to think about. This is your timeline. This is what your next couple of years are going to look like, especially if you're somebody looking to get started in government contracting with little to no money. It's really just the first 1% of your journey. Your journey is going to expand. It's going to unfold. You're going to have ups. You're going to have downs. You're going to have unexpected, amazing things. You're going to have really crappy challenges if you stay in this game. So is being your own boss, kind of controlling your own destiny, if you will, maybe hiring friends, family, colleagues as part of your business. Are those things motivating and moving enough for you to do that? Is that going to see you through? And for some it will, some it won't. But getting really crystal clear at this 1% stage, as we full circle this now, part of getting started with little to no money is also like, doesn't mean you're getting started with nothing. It means you're getting started with that burning desire. It means connecting to that energy, connecting to that mindset that's going to really fuel you for the beginning part of your journey. You have to tap into something. It doesn't have to be money, but that means it's got to be something else. So if you're coming to this game and you don't have the money, you definitely better make sure you're bringing something else. And that means if you're working full time, it's going to be tough. So that energy really better be flowing double time to push you through nights and weekends to do this. And when you've been on 8 contracts and you still haven't won, is it going to carry you? Are you still rooted in, I know that my purpose in life, my mission in life is for more than where I'm at. And I'm called to do this. And this is me answering that call. And I know it's going to be hard, but I know that if I fight it out long enough, something's going to break free for me. Something is going to happen for me because it's either going to be it or me. Who's harder? Is it harder or am I harder? I'm going to be harder. Okay, it's going to give up before I do. So then after you win that staring contest with whatever's challenging you out there in your life, whether it's personal, professional, health, family, whatever, and you're in GovCon, you're looking at GovCon, this is the sort of stuff that you better tap into. You better be convicted in it. It better set you on fire in your spirit, in your soul, in your beliefs, in your values, in what you want to be looking at your, life back 30, 40 years from now. And you're looking back on your life, doing the rocking chair test, maybe 20 years. Like, did you do it? Did you show up? Could you look at yourself with your head held high? Or you can say, you know what? You did what you always did. You gave up, you quit too soon. You went to another opportunity. You said it was too hard. Don't be a quitter. Don't be a victim. Government contracting changed my life. It can change your life too. It's changed many people's lives and their families' lives and beyond. There's no reason why you should be any different unless you make it different. Government contracting doesn't care about you. It doesn't care if you're successful or if you fail. It does not care one bit, which is great because it means you have equal chances as far as it's concerned about you succeeding or failing. It's up to you. What do you think about yourself? Are you worth it? So if you're looking to get started in government contracting with little to no money, you better have this stuff. And I'm just riffing here because I'm speaking from my heart, hoping to connect with your heart to maybe help move something for you. Because if you take this stuff and then you go and get to work and you do it for long enough, stuff will happen. But it's got to come from you. It's your stuff. It's not my stuff. It's what's inside of you. Connect with it. That energy will fuel your machine. If you're not connected, you're just going to be watching endless videos and the car is not going to go anywhere. It won't move. That horse just won't move. It's got to be fueled by you. So something to think about, right? But I truly, truly believe in what I'm sharing with you. If you want to keep going, guys, I do have an upcoming webinar, Save Your Spot. Don't forget about that. Win contracts faster without wasting time and money. Definitely a great segue for this theme of this video. So I'll drop the link down for that below. Then I also have another in-depth video that I've done if you just want to keep watching. I'll link that up, where it is truly the most in-depth breakdown probably of any video on YouTube of the real expenses and costs. I just did a high overview today. But if you want the real nitty-gritty, like the real cost where I researched everything and give you ranges for everything, check out this video. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. And again, until next time, you got this.